Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Creators Podcast, where we explore creativity through conversation. This episode is in a part of a series that we are doing in collaboration with the Ottawa Design Club. If you don't already know what the Ottawa Design Club is, they are a group of creatives with a dream of uniting the design community, and they are doing a phenomenal job at that. They are the reason why we're here today. They're the reason I know Steph. And they're the reason we are collaborating about the topic of working with your hands. So on August 22nd, we did a live panel discussion, which was the first of its kind, the first time for me doing that. I think it was the first time for you as well doing that. And we explored the topic of working with your hands, which is something that's dear to my heart, something that's very prevalent in Steph's life. And we figured we needed to push that exploration a little further. And that's why we're here today in this series. Before we continue, I just want to mention that the Creators Podcast is brought to you by Pano Media, that is powering all of the production behind this podcast and giving you the experience that you are having right now. And also Midnight Hour Studios for giving us this lovely space and letting us use it. And you can actually rent the space for your creative projects. It's in the heart of Ottawa. It's a great spot. Everything for that will be linked in the description below, along with a little special something for you. In this episode, I'm joined by Steph Babij. Mm-hmm. It's pronounced a little different than the way it's spelled.
Yes.
And we're wearing some cool ass glasses. So if you are not watching this on video, you should check it out on video.
But you have to have glasses before you check it out on video.
It looks good. I got some yellow ones. Steph's got some red ones on.
It's a lot.
It looks good. They might stay on for the whole episode. I don't know.
We'll find out.
All I can tell you is that by the end of this episode, you should have at least one more piece to the puzzle, the never-ending puzzle, I will add, that is your creative journey.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. By the glasses?
Yeah.
Or what?
I don't know.
It's always funny when I self-sponsor. Like Pano Media is my company. I sponsor the podcast. I feel like I'm like shaking my own hand.
Yeah. But I like that.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I see a lot of successful businesses do that, so may as well follow in their footsteps. Steph, you are a visual artist. You do a lot of really cool stuff with different, I suppose, ways. Like, I want to dive into all the different methods you express your art and about your philosophy and kind of how you got here. But I want to open up with a question I like to ask all of our guests. What does creativity mean to you?
Ooh, what a bomb question. It means a lot to me. I think it means, like, for the main part of creativity, I would say it's more like feeling. So I think creativity means to me the ability to process through emotions and feelings and express myself in any way that I need to. So that's kind of a summarized version of it. But yeah.
When you say like you express yourself through creativity, how do you do that? Like, what's one way that you do that?
Well, I use a lot of different mediums, as anybody will be able to tell if they check out my work. I use a lot of paint. That's kind of a new medium, I would say, since 2020.
Paint is a new one?
Yeah.
Oh, really? What were you doing before?
Just drawing.
Oh, cool.
Just pencil and marker and paper. Kind of just the regular stuff. But I never had the patience for paint, and then the pandemic happened, and I had nothing to do. And I had just graduated with an undergrad, and there were no jobs, and I just had the patience to like work through the kinks of painting, which is why I never took it up in my adolescence, and I never really did. I didn't push myself with art when I was doing an undergrad because I was just focused on school and stuff like that, and I didn't want to pursue art as a career because I just thought that was not a thing. It wouldn't be possible, so I just gave that up at a young age. But yeah, paint is new, and so is lino cut printing, which is the process of like carving through usually like linoleum tiles, but rubber. I use rubber instead.
Cool.
And then also just like pen and pencil and paper and stuff like that. But I think the ability to use color with paint is what helps me process a lot of things and be able to express my creativity through that way, because color was something I didn't really use a lot of before with other mediums. Just because I was not patient enough with myself. I would get like colored pencils. I'm like, oh, this is a great set. Like, there's a lot of really nice materials out there, obviously, but I was not about it because I was like, oh, if I have to learn how to combine all these colors and take a long time doing that with pencil, I just kind of lose the feeling that I want to push out of me or express, I suppose is a better way to say that.
That's cool. And I'd like to explore more of the different mediums, but before we do that, I want to know about like you as a human, your origin story. How did you end up here? Where did you come from? Tell me a little bit about
where did you go?
Yeah.
God, Nigel. I don't know if we should cut that, but I don't know how I got here, I would say.
Okay.
I was born in Sudbury, and then I stayed there for about 6 years until we moved to Ottawa for less than a year, and then the Caribbean for almost 2 years. After that, we moved to Southern Ontario in a small town called Bell River, which is outside of Windsor. And I stayed there and did like high school there. I finished high school there.
Yeah.
So I was there for like 6-7 years or something.
Was art a part of your life through all of this?
I like in high school and adolescence, yes, but in the way that it is to a teenager, it's like, I don't know, I'm in my room drawing,
right.
like listening to some moody music. Like I'm not pursuing it as a career kind of thing. I just was having fun, and I was always an artist. So I started drawing with crayons and stuff like that and pencils from a really young age, when I was like maybe 3 or 4, because I would see things in my dreams and I had to write them down or create them. And I would see mostly like rooms and things like that, places. I'm a really lucid dreamer, and I've always been like that. So when I'm dreaming, I can kind of drive the ship, I suppose.
That's cool.
It was really scary at first, but now it's just kind of the way it is. So
it's just as real. I want to dive more into the dreams thing, because you gave me a glimpse of it during the panel. Yeah. And I want to know more, but sorry, carry on.
I will. Yeah. Sorry. Just how I got here. And then moved out to Winnipeg for a year and was just working. I took a gap year after high school, and then I, moved to some places in the States. I was working there too as a nanny, and before I decided to go to school, and I chose Carleton. I went to school for physical geography, and that's what I graduated with. And I just didn't really want to work in the government and do anything like that. So, and plus COVID hit, and I just decided to just take a breather. And I was working at a place in the market as well, and blah blah blah.
Was art part of any of this, or was this something where you?
No, when I left high school and started to live on my own, do all those things, I would create here and there, but I was mostly just trying to focus on like making a living and figuring out what I wanted to do with school. So during that time period, like maybe 5 years, I was not creating. Wow. Like not really anything. I wasn't even like journaling, I don't even think. I just was traveling and doing stuff like that and kind of just seeing things, but I had the itch to create, but I didn't have the space. So, and for me mentally, I need to have a place that feels comfortable to create things, unless there's a specific feeling or creation that I need to pull out and express. But for the most part, I wasn't doing anything like that. No. That's
amazing. I mean, so now what does your practice look like? What is your art? Because if I understand correctly, you're doing this as a profession?
Yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years. So I graduated in 2020 and started doing art, and then I quit my my job, my part-time job at the time, I think at the end of 2021. And then thankfully, the thing is, like, I have a partner, and he was very supportive, like financially, when I decided to take the leap. Well, all of the above, actually, financially, mentally, emotionally. When I decided to take the leap to quit my job and pursue art and go to markets and create things and make them and see how long I could keep it up for, really, because at the time my job was not a good thing for me. Like, it was a really toxic environment, and I was working in the market and I hated it. And yeah, so I had somebody supportive who could catch me if I faltered, but I ended up landing, and I've literally just been doing this for 3 years. I don't know what I'm doing. So
that's a good thing.
Yes.
I actually learned that. Like, someone was talking about, like, at all levels, millionaire, billionaire, whatever level, there's always going to be that sense of, I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But it's almost an indicator that you are not being complacent. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it means you're doing shit that you haven't done before, which is a good thing, which means you're pushing yourself. So
growing.
It's normal. It's totally normal to not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's really cool, though.
Yeah.
It's funny you said, like, I don't know how long I can make this go for. I've had that similar feeling too. Like, how this kind of works now, but I don't know how long it's going to work for.
Well, yeah.
But it seems to work.
100%. It's going how it's going, you know, and I'm enjoying it. I'm realizing things that I like and I don't like about it. And even just like running a business, it takes a lot of different areas where you didn't think that you had to be proficient in or even know anything about until you get there and you're like, ooh, yep.
Literally, yep.
Yeah.
I suck at this. Let me go watch a YouTube video or something. So I want to know more about your actual arts practice. Yeah. So you have different mediums that I found when I did a bit of research on you. You have, actually, I'm going to let you tell me. Tell me the different mediums that you have and that you offer the world.
I mean, I've got a few right now. I'm trying them out. So like medium in the sense of paint, but I have several different offerings that I offer, I suppose, with paint. Like I've got murals, and then I've got just regular canvas paintings, which is how I started, really. Just I would get commissions from people to paint them some things, and or I'd have creative freedom. So yeah, and then I've also got, and that's acrylic paint, sorry. For mural, it's acrylic latex, and I haven't tried any aerosols or anything like that yet because I'm a little scared to do that. And I would like to learn more about it and learn from some pros and stuff like that before I get into it, because I don't know. I like the idea of using a brush more. But anyways, and then I also have vinyl cut printing. It's like just a small intro into printmaking. I really want to get more into it and find another way to explore like different inks and papers and things like that, because there's so many of both those mediums. And then also just regular pencil, and I'm starting to do illustrations on my tablet. So I'm starting to do like children's book illustrations and deals like that, and like digital art, which is another new kind of medium for me. It's way less, it's different. It's like, it's hands-on in a different way, but it's more like you have to be more techie maybe to kind of tinker with like brushes and different aspects of the apps that you're using, which I don't think I have quite the patience for yet, but it's something I learned along the way throughout the process. So I think that's it for now. And wood burning as well.
That sounds cool.
I really like wood burning. It takes a little bit more time. And when
Is it exactly what it sounds like?
Yes.
Are you burning patterns or are you burning
art.
It into a shape?
I'm burning art into wood, and like sometimes there, like I would start to do these coasters. I've done a few sets of coasters. It's different kinds of wood, but it's like wood coins. If you're picturing like a live edge wood coin, like a tree branch, but cut it up. And then depending on the type of wood, it's like a hardwood, softwood. It's less fun or more fun to burn. And then I'll draw an image onto it and I'll burn it, and then I'll paint it over top and varnish it. And similar idea with just like a straight up piece of square wood that you can get from Michael's or something like that. Those are really soft woods. And so they are fun to burn because it's like butter when you're drawing things.
Is it like a hot knife thing that you plug in, or it's like gas powered?
No, it's electric. So I was using like a regular one from Michael's for the longest time, but they can't get as hot and the handle gets too hot. So you're like burning yourself. Well, with the way that I work, at least. Like you could put it on a lower setting, but it takes longer to get what you want. And for me, I use a lot of dots in my work, and especially wood burning. So I have like a dot tip. There's different tips you can get. But yeah, it's basically like a hot knife. So I upgraded from that and I bought like a nice pristine one from Lee Valley.
Cool.
And it's really cool. It's like, it's got 2 jacks for it, so you could have 2 at once, but it doesn't get super hot on the handle, so it's It's like cream of the crop. It's really nice. I haven't wood burned in like a while though, maybe over 8 months or something.
This is your calling.
I know.
To go burn some wood. That's really cool, Steph. It's it sounds like your passion kind of speaks through the artwork that you do. You're taking off the shades.
It's a different world.
It's quite a different world. I took them off because the light is like amplifying the yellowness.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was like burning my eyeballs. So obviously there's an enormous component of tactile, experience when it comes to art. You're touching the brush, you're touching the canvas, whatever the brush and the canvas are, if it's a wood burning or if it's a pencil. Mm-hmm. What's your kind of experience like what sort of information do you get, and how do you kind of navigate the whole tactile experience of art?
What do you mean? Like, how do I figure out how to use these hands on it?
Kind of like what sort of feedback do you get? Like, how messy do you get with your hands?
Okay.
Do your hands get beat up when you make art? Like, okay.
Yeah, my hands are pretty gross. Don't look at them. But
they look fine from here.
Like, there's a reason. I mean, I'm not really one for nails, but I know lots of people get nails and stuff like that. But I'm always like, yeah, I won't be able to do my craft properly if I have those things on. My hands do get beat up 100%. Like I was saying before, just they get burnt from wood burning. I have this particular thing where ever since I was a kid, I hold the pencil or whatever tool I'm using with I don't know what this finger is called. It's like your ring finger, but on your right hand.
Okay.
So I hold the pencil like that, whereas most people hold it in between that middle finger. I hold it there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Yeah, it's just a natural way for me. So I get like a huge bump on my hand if I'm using like a pencil or a marker for a really long time. Not so much with a paintbrush, but yeah, even I'll get some hand cramps sometimes with brushes though. I would say like larger brushes for murals and stuff like that, and rolling and stuff like that. Like it's kind of I don't know. It's really beautiful to be able to work with my hands. I feel grateful that I have strong hands, and I used to climb too, so I have a lot of like different muscles in the hands that I utilize for all my different tools, as many people do. That was a weird way to say that, but yeah.
Were you like free climbing, like rock climbing?
Yeah, rock climbing, like just in the gym though.
Sweet. That's hard. It's hard.
It's so fun. It's difficult. Really good for your mind.
For your mind? Opinion, yeah. Why do you say for your mind?
Because the whole time you're like mapping things out in your head, and you're just kind of like, at least for me personally, the way that I would see it is like you're mapping your route up the wall. You're thinking about which hold to grab next, and it's very like it takes your present. It brings you into the moment because you have to be in the moment. It's not like, I mean, some people can be sort of in dreamland while they're there, which is fair, but I found for me it really brought me into the moment. And if I was trying to get away from something or decompress, I would go there and climb. And
that's cool. Do you still do it?
Barely. Yeah. I stopped for a while because my gym closed. It was VR. It was virtual reality. By the way, it was on Victoria Island. And then the government was like, oh,
BC?
No, here.
Victoria.
In between,
where's Victoria Island?
In between, Gatineau and
Ottawa. I think I know where. Yes, I know exactly.
Yeah, and then they were like, the soil's toxic. We have to close the island.
It's so tragic.
Anyways, but I like here and there. Stuff. I know, right? Here and there, I've been going to a few different places, but I haven't had a lot of time to do anything other than my craft in the last 3 years. Or that's not fair. I haven't made a lot of time to do several other things.
It's a good reframe.
Yeah,
it's true. Your time is occupied because you're prioritizing different things.
Yeah,
but I like what you said, that it brings you into that present moment, and it engages your whole body, which then keeps your mind focused. And I love activities that do that, because it takes me out of overthinking. I think a lot. My brain is a very active place.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have activities that consume like all of my energy. So I don't even have the space to think anymore.
Exactly.
And then through doing that, I find I just like, well, first of all, you have the physical benefits of exercising, and then you have the mental benefits of pausing your brain.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you found that does that? Maybe not necessarily rock climbing or exercise, or anything else that you kind of do to escape or just like recenter?
Hiking, being outside. Definitely just being outside, because it literally makes you refocus your energy to focus outwards rather than inwards. So it kind of takes the focus away from overthinking. And I'm also a huge overthinker. It's not fun. But yeah, being outside, hiking, I like being active with my whole body, like you were saying. So yeah.
That's cool. So the idea of, a continuing journey, you mentioned this kind of like in your artist description. How do you kind of navigate that idea of this whole thing being a continuing journey that's like never going to necessarily end?
I just kind of take it a day at a time, because people would ask me like, oh, what are your career goals? What's your plan for 6 months, 1 year, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just, right?
I feel you.
Like, what is that? Know. It's like, do you have a goal for, like the people asking? It's a fair question. Yeah. I'm just not that kind of a person sometimes, I think. For creative things, I don't think I'm that kind of person. Maybe I will be. I just find that like the more I'm going to put limits or goals, I suppose, depending if they're like short term or like light goals, are they heavy goals, are they hard things to achieve? I just don't want to like limit myself, and then I don't want to get committed to something and then let myself down about it if I change my mind, but I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing so far. I've discovered things that I don't enjoy about the job, like I was saying before. But I think, I don't know, as long as I'm having a good time and like really still enjoying it, I think we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes up. I know at some point I kind of want to go back to college maybe and get like a field technician course under my belt. Diploma. Yeah, because I really like working with plants and stuff like that. So I think we'll see though.
That's cool. It's ever evolving.
Yeah, like
for sure. So I mean, I feel like a lot of people who are creative or do some sort of creativity as a profession or even just as something that's prevalent in their life, that not knowing what's going to happen in 6 months to a year can be challenging. So what do you do to have a bit of structure then in your days and your weeks?
That's fair. I think first of all, numbers surprisingly have helped me with that. Like doing things, parts of my job that are not the most fun parts, like the accounting, the planning, the booking projects, applying for things like different projects and residencies and stuff like that. I think maybe that's what keeps me kind of grounded, on track to a schedule. And then I just integrate a lot of like my life plans into things and see where my work plans can then supplement that, which is kind of weird if you think about it. I mean, not weird, but it's just like if I know I'm going to be with family for a week in October or December, I'm going to plan some cushioning time before and after that to like decompress.
That's smart.
Right?
I don't do that. That's probably really valuable.
I'm starting to do that this year. Like I'm not a perfect person.
No, but it's a good tip. I like that.
It's just, I always thought about work like it's my life, and yes, I need to make a living, pay my rent and stuff like that, but this is a really privileged way to think about it now that I'm saying it, obviously, but it's just like, if I'm not enjoying, like if I'm not able to spend my time with people that I love and my friends and family and do the things that, make me love life, if I don't have time for that, like what's the point,
I feel that.
So
like why work so hard if you don't ever enjoy the money you make? And
so I kind of set like I do my life goals and planning and stuff like that, and then I'll integrate my work stuff, and that works right now. But I also don't have kids. I don't have like I don't have a lot of other things on my plate. Like I don't have dependents really. I mean, I have cats, but
the best. Shout out cats.
Why am I like this? Anyways, I don't know if I answered the question properly.
You did answer the question. No, it's interesting to kind of understand your approach. And I mean, we're all kind of, one thought that I keep in mind is that we're all experiencing life for the first time.
Yeah.
So it helps me to better, like, you know, understand other people, be more patient with them, because they don't know what they're doing necessarily. They're doing all of this for the first time, as am I. So
yeah,
it's cool to understand your perspective, because then, you know, that cushioning thing, that's I'm gonna try and incorporate that into my life, because I'm usually like booking things like
that's what I was doing.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
At the chill, you know.
Yeah.
And just like,
or just
actually,
like chill.
Yes.
You know.
The way I've found that works for me is like, I have periods where I'm like, I'll go for like 10 days, 13 days straight, and then I'll chill for like a couple days, and then I'll just get right back into it. So I've kind of like thrown away the idea of a weekend sometimes, and because I don't often function in a 7-day schedule.
No, most creatives don't.
No, I don't think any human really does. I've tried to tune my body with daylight instead rather than weekdays.
Yeah, it
seems to be a lot more valuable. I still like to take Sundays off work because everyone else is
everyone's doing that.
It's like hang out with family and friends.
Exactly. People are more free. Like, and that's the thing too. That's what's tough about this is it's related, but it's unrelated. But that's what's tough about being like a creative person or somebody who even has their own business. It's hard when your most friends and family don't have the same lifestyle, and they have a 9 to 5, or things are more like they have more of a schedule, I would say more of a concrete schedule than we might. And I find that tough, like in both sides of the coin, where it's hard because you may not see them as often because of their schedule and your schedule and how they don't coincide. And you're most likely working weekends, and, you know, and if you're not working, you're still working. Like, so
till midnight. It's definitely it's a dance. It's something that has taken time to evolve, and at first it was a mess, I will say. Yes. But do you find yourself kind of getting a good grasp on a flow that works for you?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, it's a give and take. It's great. It's kind of a double-edged sword that I make my own hours. I figure out my own schedule, but it's also tough because there's things that I want to get done when it may be, you know, there's a family event, or there's like I don't know, something for a friend of mine. So I kind of just have to balance and figure out like, okay, well, at the end of the day, I am my own boss, so I'm going to have to make it work another way if I want to do these other things, you know? Yeah.
Isn't it fun making decisions?
No. I'm the worst decision maker.
I know. So, because you don't know, like with decisions, like I'm making decisions that I have no clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue if it's the right decision. And I'm like, I don't want to make this, but I'm going to make the decision and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. And then you find out and you're like, eh.
Well, there's only one way to know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To do it.
Yeah.
I heard another quote that's stuck with me. It's successful people do things not knowing whether they're going to work or not. So I just try to just do stuff.
Right, because if you think so much about, well, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Like, you're not going to get it done. You're not going to start it. So I think that's the thing. You just kind of have to go and see if it works. And if it doesn't, cool. The worst that can happen is the worst that can happen. Like,
you
the worst
die.
that can happen.
Literally, that's the worst that can happen. You're dead.
Okay, never.
And then you won't even be around to care that it didn't work. I mean, ultimately, like.
But you did it, though.
You did it. You tried. It's a little morbid, obviously.
Just a wee bit.
But death is the only thing that's guaranteed in this life. And taxes. Death and taxes. There you go. But, I mean, obviously, I've always been one to bring the worst case to the forefront.
Totally.
Because it then gives me the courage to say, okay, if this is the worst that can happen, then usually it's not death.
Yeah.
Usually it's something much less.
Yeah.
But then it allows me to just like, okay, screw it. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
So I want to dial this into the more intangible realm, because you mentioned dreams and the subconscious mind and kind of being guided by your dreams. I think that's really freaking cool. As someone who, I do dream, I don't make an effort to remember my dreams. I don't write them down, but please tell me and enlighten us about your whole dream experience. Like, is that achievable by everyone?
I don't know. I'm not a dream expert.
Okay.
I would say I was asked that before, but I don't know. I just look at it as a gift.
So tell me about your experience though with dreams, and then we'll explore it a bit more.
Okay, so yeah, like I was saying before, I'm a really lucid dreamer. I've always been like that. And
lucid is when you are aware that you're dreaming?
Yeah, and like I can see myself sleeping. Sometimes I leave the bed and I go somewhere like in my dream.
Okay. So
it's like you picture you're dreaming.
I've actually done that before.
Okay.
Where your eyes are closed, but you can see.
Yeah.
Like you can see in front. It usually happens when I sleep in a moving car. I fall asleep, but I can see fully what's in front of me.
That's cool.
It's super weird.
Yeah. I love falling asleep in a moving car.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Until
you have a dream that the car crashed and then you wake up.
Okay. You're all your ends are death.
It's the worst case scenario.
It's true.
Sorry, carry on. So lucid dreaming.
Yeah. So I've always been able to kind of understand that I was dreaming from a really young age.
And you mentioned it was like scary at first, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because I used to have really scary dreams. You know, I can't really remember them, but like I said, from a young age I started to record my dreams, and there's
just writing them down when you wake up.
No, like really young age, like crayons.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So drawing,
like
writing.
3 or 4, like not writing, but drawing for sure. And I would draw like these, like lots of fire and things like that, and just like doors. And I'm not really gonna get super into it, but I think they were like pretty scary at first. But then, as I would get a little bit older, it's like I would see places and I would return to those places.
In the dreams or in real life?
In the dreams.
Okay.
Like the next night or a week later, I would return to that place, and then I'd explore more of that place. And like that to me, it's kind of like there's a show where I don't know how to compare it, but it's like if you go to sleep here, you wake up somewhere else and you continue that life, and then you go to sleep there and you wake up in your waking life. And like it was kind of giving that energy for a while when I was really much younger. But I would say like nothing of major significance in terms of creativity really came to me then. Or if it did, I just don't think I was listening. I wasn't in tune. And if I was, it was just, okay, let me recreate this. But it was never like, you know, the kind of creation that I'm doing now. But yeah, I would say only in the last maybe 10 years have my dreams been a little bit more significant, because obviously I'm, you know, more aware now than as a child. But yeah, I'll have people visiting me in dreams, people that I've never met before in my waking life, but I know that these are real people. It's kind of, I don't know how far into this we could get, or
probably really it's a really cool topic. No, keep going.
It's just like, I mean, I believe in spirits because energy is not destroyed, and so a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. But I've always had the sense of being able to tell. I like to say I've always had the sense, but I think I've always had the sense. I can tell that there's like a spirit in the room or something like that. Like you can tell when something is there, right? I
agree. It's hard because you can't even put it into words. That's why you just
say what you're saying.
When you say I think, but you feel it with your whole...
I'm a very visceral body type of person. So, and especially I think a lot of creatives are like that, where our body gives us cues.
Absolutely, yeah.
All the time it's just chemistry. Like I
think that's what the thing is, like creatives are very sensitive.
Yes.
In order to be able to express
Yeah.
and see the world in ways that other people don't. You have to be very sensitive.
To be open.
But it's extremely uncomfortable at times, or can be. And it's unfortunately why a lot of, you know, famous artists drive themselves to overdose and stuff, because they're trying to numb that oversensitivity.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but it is the reality of it.
Yeah. It's like you're always exposed like an open-ended nerve a little bit. And so I'm always feeling that way about everything, like especially in social situations. And yeah, places carry energy. It's just as simple as that. Everything is energy. Right. So there would be times in dreams where like, I don't quite write things down, but sometimes if I have a consecutive amount of dreams and there's this underlying theme in it, I'll write it down and I'll talk to people about it. And I mean, a lot of the time, obviously it's based on the things that are going on in your life, but there's different times where it's just like, oh, somebody entered my dream and I can tell immediately that this is a real human being who died, who's telling me that they died. like wow. Creepy stuff like that. I don't know if I can swear. So anyways, okay. So things like that, and things where I have a lot of, like I was saying, place-based dreams and geographical things like that, where I'm in the dream and I'm doing something. I don't really want to describe them too much because I find that might take some of their meaning away, maybe, if I don't describe it with the full detail. But yeah, so it's like I'll be driving somewhere and I'll end up in a place and I can see it on the map, and I wake up and I'm like, oh, I need to go to Newfoundland. Like something like that, where it's just like the dream.
Will you go? Like, do you listen?
Well, there in this specific instance, like I believe at some point my art will lead me there for some reason, because that was what the dream was about. Kind of, there was so many different themes in it, but this was like a consecutive number of dreams. There's like 4 or 5 dreams about a year ago, and it was so weird. Like all of it was so weird. They were so vivid comparatively to some other dreams that I've had, where I'm watching myself travel across the map. Wow. And at the end of it is like there's a piece of my art, there's a like community in a room, a bunch of matriarchs. It was like it made me get goosebumps and stuff like that when I woke up, and I love that. I just felt like, okay, obviously there's something I need to do, but that's kind of where I left that. And I mean, time has been fizzling out since then, but do you find it kind of like parallels your journey in art? It depends. Like, of course it parallels your journey in every aspect of your life, because it's a mix of your subconscious and real events and you know, people you might see. So I think yes, in a way. But I think if something shows up to me in a dream and I'm feeling it, because that's the thing about lucid dreaming, is like I'm feeling so much in it, and I'm aware that I'm feeling it, kind of, then I know I need to express it. Or like if it's a recurring theme, like there's constant, like eagles or something like that, or a constant theme of water in different forms and things like that, then I will recreate that, because I feel like that's obviously what's being asked to be expressed. Yeah. And you express it through art. Like you may have these experiences dreaming, and then you don't exactly know how to what they mean. Like put it in words, right? So is a lot of your art coming from feeling? Yes. Yeah, feeling, emotion, 100%. I was a pretty emotional kid. So, as many artists are. So yeah, I would definitely take to any kind of medium to put that somewhere, sort of like hold it there. It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to compare this to sports, but I was never an athlete. Maybe if you are feeling you're frustrated, you go to some kickboxing. I don't know. Like you put the energy somewhere, right? You take it out of you. Yeah, 100%. And you're conscious while you're doing that. Like, I'm feeling X, let me paint this or draw this. So yeah. And I think, like, I used to journal a lot. I don't do it that much anymore. And I would mention things about specific dreams, but I just found, like, I like to use a lot of words. I'm a really wordy gal, but I found it was like taking a part of the experience away comparatively to when I'm painting it and I'm adding all these different weird aspects in. And if somebody's asking me about this, I can tell you exactly what it means. Like, I can remember exactly what I was feeling and thinking and why I put these specific wisps in here or dots, because I can remember it better via paint or drawing. So I was going to ask you, like, are you able to like relive those feelings just by looking 100%. At what you made, let's say 2 years ago when you felt this thing? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Like for the most part, like for some of my more vivid pieces and more meaningful pieces, I can remember like every single thing. But if you ask me to remember what I wrote down, like in my journal about this thing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, no. But if I see it, I can be like, yeah, I completely remember what I was thinking and the experience.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's really a testament to like real art, like anything creative, anything outstanding in this world, it comes from within. It comes from inside of you, wherever that may be. It's a very vast place, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you said you feel a lot, and you seem to be kind of tapped into an interesting energy and an interesting, I guess your sights are set on some cool stuff. I'm curious to know more about how maybe like culture comes into play. Like, do you feel that you are, you know, at the forefront of everyone that's been behind you in your family's lineage? Like, do you feel like you have a purpose here to communicate something through your art, or are you still figuring that out?
I think I definitely have a purpose with my art. I think an artist is always figuring it out.
That is true.
I think if I was like, yeah, this is my purpose, blah, 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 I would lose the point. And I wouldn't keep growing. And I think the purpose can change literally every day, every month. And it can be different for different people and different reasons. Like, I don't know. I haven't quite thought about the big question like that. But I think it's also, art's like a healing tool for many people. And for me especially, I didn't grow up with my culture. I'm mixed also. Like, my dad's white, Ukrainian, French, Irish mix, and some other mix. And my mom's Ojibwe, and she also grew up away from her family. So she's also healing. My whole family is healing, really. I have so many siblings. I have 8 siblings, and
wow.
And like all with different backgrounds and stuff. You know, my dad had 3 kids, my mom had 3. They met, and I'm like the oldest of the bottom rung of the 3. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of like family history that I deal with throughout my everyday life, obviously, but throughout growing up alongside my craft, you know, and being creative and having a place to put those feelings and stuff like that. And I think as I create and as I paint especially, it's given my mom an opportunity to feel maybe seen or heard in some ways, where when I'm describing things or talking about my work, maybe she might feel represented in some way. But it's like, again, it's kind of like uncharted waters for me, because like I said, I didn't really grow up with connection to my culture and or my community. So, and I grew up all over the place. So I kind of have always had to remake myself in every place and remake friends. And I wouldn't hold bonds very long because I'm like, we're leaving anyways. Like things like that. So, which was a helpful way to grow up, I think, now as an adult, because it gave me the skill of adaptability and just I was able to see so many different things and feel so many different things in different places. And
it's great. That's a good optimistic view on it. Do you find yourself coming back to exploring your cultural roots?
Yeah, 100%. More as I grow up, for sure. Not as definitely. Like I think I started my journey maybe when I was like 19 or something like that. Okay. And over the years, it's just different every year. Of course, it's first of all, like, we don't have grandparents. All of our grandparents are now passed, and I don't really know any aunts and uncles and other extended family like that. So it's kind of hard because both of my parents were, even from my dad's side, it's like both of my parents were disconnected from their families. So it's almost like that is where you need to start ground zero. It's kind of like reconnecting with your family 100%. So I have like some aunts and uncles who I've like started to reconnect with here and there, but it's a slow, long journey.
I feel you.
And it's also like a different journey when I'm also somebody of mixed ancestry. So it's just a different, I don't know, experience, I would say. It's not quite like I was like steeped in my community, and I just automatically know all these things, and have all this information. It's kind of just like, I don't know anything about myself. Like, you know, it's kind of like you have to have the outlook that you're starting from ground zero, because if you want to learn who you are, who your family is, and why you are the way you are, I think you need to have an open mind and have humility with that and grace.
There's a lot of keys I find in like, you know, the family, the culture, like connecting with your past. I seem to find a lot of keys in it because I'm the first generation of my family to be born outside of Lebanon. So behind me, they grew up not digitally. I have like 2 photos of my dad in his 20s. That's probably it. And it's just like my kids, my ancestors will see me at almost every single age captured in high resolution. They can see how I sound with these podcasts. Right. They can know what I was thinking because of other pieces of video content. Yeah. But I find I do crave a little bit of that cultural experience and like wanting to understand a little bit more. So whenever I have the opportunity to talk with family, I love it. I love just picking their brain and it's same understanding, even though there's so much drama that's like 100%. Mixed in, but I try to remove myself from the drama. Yeah. Because there's no point. Yeah, exactly. It's it's same here. It seems like every family has of course. Yeah. It's just part of the criteria. Steph, so you do large scale murals, right? I want to talk about the physical demands and challenges that come with painting the side of a building. Or what's the biggest piece you've done, first of all? Let me think. I think they're not super big, I would say. They're like large for me, but for somebody who actually does a really big large scale mural, they'd be like But I think this summer maybe like 40 feet by 13, but that's huge. It's big, but I have done something a little bit larger. Like I just recently finished 9 walls, but they were kind of like broken up. In Ottawa? No, it was in Toronto. Cool. I just got back. So they're kind of broken up over like lots of negative space integration. So it didn't quite feel as daunting, but it was still a lot of walls. Like it was like an entire room. I think you're up on a ladder painting walls. Yeah. The ladder is not a fun time. I will say I haven't got the chance to use scaffolding yet, and I hear it's cream of the crop, but I've mostly just used ladders, and it gives me a really gnarly knot in my neck and shoulder. You're like this. Yeah, because you're like that, and you're reaching up, and right here is actually like a horrible spot for, at least, I mean, I'm right-handed. Maybe if I was ambidextrous, it'd be different. I'd get it in both spots, but yeah. So how does that like physical challenge, how does that actually impact like what you're making? A lot. So it depends if it's inside or outside, but for the one that was like 40 by 13 ish, maybe 50, I don't know, it was outside. It's on the side of, it's like Rideau and Wartenberg. That's in Ottawa? Yeah, it's in Ottawa, so it's at 610 Rideau. Cool. And it's like just before the little bridge to Vanier. I know that area, but I'm going to keep an eye out next time. Yeah, it's a dead-end street. Before the river, right? Like near the river? Before the river, yeah. Okay. It's right near the river. Cool. And so I did have to adapt that based on first of all, the material. Like the wall was like a shitty, like abrasive brick that was very, like, topographous. I don't know. Like topographical. It's like all the paint you put just disappears, right? Paint does, like brick does really absorb it, but it just was like the kind of brick that's not flat. It's just very like mountainous looking. Yeah. So that was a fun time, and they also had like an aluminum piece next to it, and that was a different texture. So it was kind of cool to get both textures in one mural. But I did have to adapt it based on how tall I could physically reach, because I'm also not a tall lady, and it's hard being on a ladder at the top of the ladder, still trying to reach with my arms. Because I know like top of a ladder is a pretty sketchy place. It's not fun. Yeah, I would say. And like if you really want to get that tall, you have to put the ladder at a specific angle, which is not a great idea. Don't do that. Did you fall? No, okay. I didn't fall. Knock on wood, I have not fallen or done anything crazy like that, because I like to work as safe as I can. No, totally. But it is not a fun time, and it's very much like I don't really like heights either. And
being up there while holding a brush and trying to be like steady movements and precise with your hands, but still make it look good on brick was just not, it was not a time. But it was a super big challenge, and I'm super glad that I pulled through with it. But I did adjust the design because of that on site as well. Because I was like, oh, okay, this is a horrible time up there. Let me just make sure that I'm gonna still make this look good, but I just cannot possibly do this many details up at the very, very top. Because first of all, it won't turn out very well because of how much I don't have access to giving it as clean a look as I can because of the ladder. But also because it's just... it hurts.
I don't blame you. I'm also like amazed that like, I mean, in my experience, I've just written on a whiteboard in large scale, and I just go crooked because it's a bigger, I'm used to writing on a page where I have, you know, I can see the whole thing, but on a board, for some reason, I always tend to go crooked. So how do you keep like a consistent, how do you get your scale and your design to fit within that wall? Because it's so large. Like, are you planning this a lot beforehand?
No, you kind of just, I mean, personally, for me, I just kind of figure it out when I get there. I usually use a projector for an indoor situation. Okay. And it's not a great projector. It's decent, but it's like, I will have the design draft on my tablet or my laptop, and I'll put it through the projector for an interior wall, and I'll just trace like the big things so that I know exactly where they're going to be. But for an outdoor thing, I can't use a projector for that. Plus, in this specific situation, there were 2 bell boxes or, I don't know, cell phone boxes in front of the wall, but like 2 feet from the wall. So, which is pretty narrow, I would say. And it was hard to zoom out physically to see where things had to go. So I kind of you just wing it. So the way that I do it is I always print out the draft on the paper. And I'll look at it throughout the entire project, obviously, to see what details need to be added and where things are. And I will literally just divide it in my head by my eyes. Like, okay, if this bird is in the middle of the drawing, let me see where that is on the wall. Oh, okay, that's right where the garage door is. That's going to look bad. Let me adjust that and move it a little bit to the right so that it looks all right. So I'll do things like that, and I'll be like, oh, if this bird is maybe, you know, the wingspan is as tall, like 75% of the image or something like that, 75% of the draft, then I have to make it 75% of the wall space, the wall height. Okay. So
just kind of scaling it.
I just adapt it like that. Cool. Some people use doodle boards, which I feel like could be helpful if I was doing something larger than this, but I also feel like it's another layer of work that for me personally may not work as expected, whereas I can just do this whole division process, and there's still another layer after that. Like, I'll put the first coats on. If I back up and I see,
like, you step away and look at the whole thing.
I step away and I look at the thing and I'm like, oh, that looks bad. Yikes, let me just fix that up. Like, I will just go, and I have a bit of I don't want to call it photographic, but it's kind of, I mean, that's essentially kind of what it is, where it's like, oh, I see that line doesn't look as curved as I want it to, and I correct it in my head. I'm walking towards the wall, and I'll do that exact thing. Like, I'll just it's like a grab, like a screen grab.
Like, you would imagine it when you were standing back.
Yeah, I imagine it when I'm standing back. Cool. So when I'm at the wall, I have it like locked and loaded in my head already, and I just adjust it, and then I'll zoom out. And most of the time it's where I need it to be, but sometimes I'll do some minor adjustments. But things like that, I'm able to figure out scale that way.
That's cool. And how do you navigate like or how do you elevate, because you mentioned it's pretty demanding physically. Have you found ways to kind of improve your approach, or maybe like, you know, strengthen your body to then be a better muralist?
I do a lot of like mitigation where I go to a massage therapist. Like, I have specific spots that constantly get kinked or agitated, obviously, but that's just the demands of the job. That's like anybody who works physical labor. And then I'm starting to now wear better shoes. Like things like that.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah, it's just, I'm over the point where I'm like, I want to look cute. Like, I'm just kind of like, I need to wear some supportive shoes, otherwise I'll be wrecked.
Yeah.
And like, it won't be fun for me the next day at all. So, and same with clothes. Like, just, I wear comfortable clothes when I'm making murals now, whereas in the beginning I was like, you know, I cared about how I looked kind of thing. And and that's fair. It's just now I would prefer to make myself as more comfortable and agile as I can to get the job done in a professional way, in a way that looks really good too. And then also, yeah, I mean, I definitely do some strengthening exercises where like I'll try and, because the problem with what my craft is that it's very one-sided. Like I'm right hand dominant. So as a result, my left arm, the left side of my body is just stabilizing all the time, because if I'm either on a ladder or if I'm on the ground standing up, like my right side of the body is the active side.
Okay.
So because of that, it forces my left side to hold steady real tight all the time. So that comes with its own set of problems. So now what I try and focus on is like doing symmetrical exercises or movements so that both of my arms or both legs are getting the same activity, and I'll feel which one is weaker, obviously, and I'll do like yoga and things like that. And I like to go to saunas and stuff like that. And
same, I love saunas.
I love saunas, and we recently got an ice bath, so that's been a hot
you're
topic in the house.
A
so
biohacker.
Yeah,
you're on the way to
we'll find out.
Being Instagram famous and ice bathing daily for 100 days straight. I'm just playing. Just playing. That's really cool. There's definitely a lot of things that I didn't even consider an artist would be challenged by, and then you're finding ways to improve your craft through just like, you know, more efficient tools and clothes, and that's super cool, because I know that feeling of if we're ever doing like high angles with a camera, and we're like holding a camera up high, let's say, and pointing down, and then you're just like, ow. So I can
understand. You just have to stay there though, because you're like, it's not done.
It's like, gotta get the shot. So I definitely can understand that, and it's really cool. I look forward to seeing one of your murals, because now I can appreciate it differently. Even any mural now, I feel like I can appreciate it differently, knowing that it was not like, not that I thought they were easy, but I didn't necessarily consider.
A lot of people do think they're easy, and a lot of people don't consider the different aspects of it. Like a lot of people just might think, what's the point of this? And like, you know, but then there's a lot of people who are like, oh, what a beautiful enriching part of the neighborhood. How do you do that? And yeah, there's definitely two aspects. And it's also, the other thing too is like, outdoor murals are kind of getting harder. I say that, but I've only been doing this for 3 years. But it's like with the heat in the summer, it's just so hot. And is
that what makes it harder? The heat itself, like as the artist, or the material? It's
an aspect. Well, the material behaves differently with the heat for sure. Like with my paint, like it's not great in the heat for sure, or in the sun. It'll get like gross and thick kind of. Which is not ideal for when you're putting it on the wall. It'll dry a little bit slower, which just pushes your time back a little bit. And the weather, right? Like the rain, things like that. But the heat definitely is an aspect that does wear you down physically, because for the most part, my projects are like a week, 2 weeks. For outside, well, for most of them, it's like 2 weeks. And if it's a 2 week project, 2 weeks of being in the sun, hopefully no rain, being in the sun, being in the heat, like outside every day, which is great. It's a good time. I love being outside. But that's an aspect that for sure plays into the overall experience of making the art.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Steph, if there's a message you could leave to your future self, what would you leave?
Oh, God.
This is your opportunity. Time capsule.
I hate this question. You know what? Just keep learning, I guess.
Future Steph. You probably made some really cool, even cooler stuff.
No, future Steph might still have these.
I think we'll wrap up. Actually, do you want to take my glasses?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'll try yours.
Have fun with these.
We're closing up. Oh, they got like springs on this.
I know. That's what I like the most about them.
This is very.
These These are nice.
Oh my God, you are on another planet.
Do you understand? It's giving Mars.
This is another planet.
It's a lot. Like, just look around.
You see mine, they're like more subtle yellow.
They're very subtle. It's very bright, though. I see what you mean about the light.
But on a gloomy day, they're like therapy.
They're perfect. Like today.
I put them on and I'm like, sun.
Yeah.
Again, if you're not watching these episodes on video, you're missing out.
You are.
Because there's a lot of effort that goes into designing these sets. And then also our outfits right now are
obviously
bomb.
Yeah.
Steph, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
For exploring this topic even further with us. And it's really, truly, I'm learning so much exploring the topic of working with your hands with other artists and other mediums, because it's something that is very prevalent in my life, because I've spent my whole life building cars and, you know, eventually gravitated towards cameras because I was able to have technical inputs with creative outputs. And that's why I freaking love cameras so much, because we get to use our hands and build stuff and tear it down and build it again and customize it and do things in ways that haven't necessarily been done. Like this set has never been assembled the exact same way twice. It's always different. So it's really cool to get an understanding of you and, you know, how you approach it, and even the whole dreaming, how dreams play a role in your life, because dreams are really cool. And, you know, who's to say that dream world is any less real than this world?
Right. It just depends what you take from it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for having me also. This has been a great time.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming out of your shell and being on this podcast. You did great.
Thanks. So did you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening and joining us in this series of episodes in collaboration with the Ottawa Design Club, where we're exploring the theme of working with your hands. These episodes, these 4 episodes here, are a follow-up to the August 22nd, 2024 event that we did. We did a live panel discussion. Steph was one of the panelists, along with Haley, Andrew, and Pooja, this is the group of episodes here. They're all going to be back to back. So we explored that topic, and then following that, we are further exploring the topic with each panelist, and we are even further taking it a step, because Izzy's a pioneer, and she's came up with a really cool idea to loop all these together, along with a submission to a zine, which is these lovely books on the table. So there's a lot of layers to this, and it'll be a really cool experience as a whole once it's all kind of released. So thanks for coming along this journey with us. If you are listening and not subscribed, please subscribe. Please share this podcast with someone you know, someone you love, and spark a conversation about creativity with them, and just see where it takes you, because it's a cool topic and it is something that is within all of us. So thank you, Steph. All of Steph's info, her website, her Instagram, all her socials will be down below. Ottawa Design Club's info will be down below. Check them out for info on future events. Thank you to Pano Media. Thank you to Midnight Hour Studios. And thank you to you. We'll see you again soon.
And good night.
And good night. Doesn't matter what time it is. Good night. Thank you, Steph.
No problem.
These glasses are crazy.
They are so scary.